Watching the show? Show your support by using the hashtag support ROTTMNT. Tell Nickelodeon we don't want them on Nicktoons Network. We want them on the main network. Show your support for the show as well. I could say this episode was awesome, but talking about this is not enough. It just isn't, period. I'm MegamanNG, and I am back with another Rise of the TMNT episode review. Today we're going to be talking about episode 7A, Always Be Brownies. Yeah, that's the title of this episode. I am not kidding. Let's just get on with it. I'll provide a summary as well as some of the main points. Let's get this party started. April is trying to raise money to save forest wildlife to grow trees, only to get trounced by a bunch of Girl Scouts. No matter what she does, it all ends in failure. But then Splinter wants to offer some help to April via his 5-step Jitsu program. It still doesn't work, but when Splinter does it, he pulls the sales left and right. This gets April a bit jealous, but for those brownie sellers, it's competition. It's now a fierce battle. April and Splinter versus some crazy middle school brownie sellers. Will these two be able to stop these freaks? And why are the Foot Clan involved? Yeah, this is the third of 4 new episodes that came out yesterday, or if you're watching it happen on Saturday. In this episode, when April struggles to raise money to plant new trees, she seeks Splinter's help. But when Splinter decides to help regardless and ends up making more money than she should, it attracts the wrong crowd. Now it's up to April and Splinter to find a way out of this predicament and find out what's really going on. Did I forget to mention that I like episodes where it focuses on other characters? This is no exception. This episode is focused on April and Splinter. Yes, we never thought in this show that we would have an April and Splinter episode. And for me, I just outright love it. And it's just that good. I'm not kidding. So yeah, I should mention the Foot Clan are back, but here's the thing I really don't understand. Why resort to brownies? And why resort to Girl Scouts of all things? Can somebody please explain me that? I need to know right now, please. Although it does lead to one of the best moments in the entire show, in the entire episode. And one of the best moments that April has ever experienced. You think I kid with this? Probably not. I am not. How does this go from April being a failure to pretty much a showdown against freaky middle school Girl Scouts with weapons? I'm not kidding, with weapons. It's a cartoon. I know that. And sometimes cartoons don't need to make sense. And yet why cartoons like this one get criticized? Because it's just so different. Like, I don't know, say it with... I do not want to say it, but I really loved this episode so much. What I also enjoyed about this episode is that this episode has 2 different situations that happen, especially when you reach the end of the episode itself. You have on one side April O'Neil. April O'Neil having her battle against crazy middle school Girl Scouts armed with weapons that just want to beat the ever-living snot out of anyone or anything that gets in the way. And believe me, despite April always saying that she's a failure, I disagree. She was no failure. This episode proves that even though April's not as good as selling stuff, she's awesome in more ways than one. She is damn awesome. She's damn awesome with her martial arts. She reminds me of Tifa. And I really like how the show has a strong female character that can hold her own. And that to me makes it all worth it. It makes it satisfying. But this is Rise of the TMNT and April can hold her own. But to see her do it by herself? That's insane. I love it. I really do. But let's talk about the other fact of the plot, the other part of the ending plot. With Splinter giving a lecture that being a failure doesn't mean it's the end. So what? If you fail, you fail. That's the end of that. Sometimes you just gotta get on up and try again. It's never the end. And I really like that Splinter became like a good motivational mediator. It's just so well done. And it really made it all the more hilarious while Splinter is talking about how much April could be like a failure sometimes, April is holding her own against those freaky Girl Scouts. I mean it. I felt that April is no failure. Let's get this out of the way right now. I personally feel that April is one of the strongest female characters I've ever encountered. This iteration of April, because I've seen every other iteration, and it can range. You have the 1987 version, who's just a reporter, but sometimes it does help out. The 2003 version, who can hold her own and has a relationship with Casey Jones. The 2012 version, who, well, I've already discussed about that in my 2012 reviews, but I will say is that this 2012 version, like the others, can hold her own as well. And now we got this one. I really like it. I really like it. I feel that the failure bit shows that April's not perfect. Even characters like her have flaws. She's good at some things, but not at everything. And I will say that Eric Bauza really delivered in this episode. I kid you not. I personally feel that this was his best performance as Splinter, hands down. Not to mention, he would also make for a good motivational speaker and product provider. I mean it, because with the scene with Lou Jitsu being like a product placement guy, I got nothing wrong with it, and it shows that the guy got some good acting chops. Really liked it. Everything about this episode is truly amazing, though I feel that for some reason, somewhat of a bait and switch. I felt like, I don't know why, but I felt like the episode kind of lied, because I thought it would be April teaming up with Splinter, but in truth, it was more April doing all the work while Splinter was just doing mediation. Which kind of led over into the ending episode with the female Foot Clan pretty much trying to get as much notes as possible so she can have her world domination plans. But the ending really did caught me by surprise because some malevolent shadow comes in out of nowhere and takes her away. I know it's foreshadowing to something big going on later in the season. But I'm also a little concerned because I wish Nickelodeon would actually give a damn about this show. It has been in Nicktoons Network for months. I know that for sure because if the series ends after 2 seasons, I will be upset. I've already mentioned this many times. If for whatever reason this show gets unexpectedly canceled and we get something else, I will no longer be covering Nickelodeon. I will no longer be watching Nickelodeon. I just want like nothing to do with the network if they're just not giving this show a chance. Though I've been hearing that Nickelodeon has been listening, but I feel it's not enough. Hey Nick, you want people to care for you guys again? Stop banking on nostalgia. You got a lot of shows that have a lot of potential, but you're turning your back on them because you favor more SpongeBob and the Loud House. Sure, it's a business, but if you want a business to thrive, sometimes you gotta take risks and not rely on anything. That well has already been poisoned far too long. Sorry for the rant, but I didn't want the rant to happen on this episode review. And I'll say it here, this is actually one of the more better episodes in the entire season. And you know what? My original plan was I was going to rate this a 9. The heck with that. This episode gets a perfect 10. I love this episode for 2 reasons. One, because it focuses on April and Splinter. And I am actually happy we're getting an April and Splinter episode. I hope we get more in the future. And 2, this episode really shows how much I appreciate April as a character. Now, this is my opinion and all that, but I really liked how April was able to hold her own, but it shows that she's not perfect. Even characters have flaws. April has flaws. So none of that should be her fault. She can hold her own, and that to me what makes it really happy. I got one more review to come up, and the next one's going to be even more awesome. So yeah, that's going to be it for this Rise of the TMNT review. If you enjoy it, please be sure to hit the like button. It means a lot to me. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell. It helps out big time. Truly, it does. This is MegamanNG signing off. Peace out. Cowabunga!